Hey everyone, Cloud here, and welcome to my guide on the Minotaur Slayer assignments. In this guide we'll be talking about the following: the requirements in order to kill them effectively, which Slayer Masters appoint them as a task, best location to do the task, best strategy using their weaknesses, recommended equipment from highest to lowest, tips and tricks, and of course the key drops for them. Now, with the YouTube annotations you can click a specific section of this guide to watch if you wish, or just click the play all option. Just make sure you have annotations turned on. So, first up is the requirements in order to kill these effectively. So there's no specific Slayer level required to kill them, unlike other monsters, and with the Minotaurs a minimal combat level will be required. I'll talk about this a bit further on in the guide. But here's a bit of enemy information. So there's two different types of Minotaurs that you can fight. You can either fight those with combat level 20 or those with a combat level of 75. Again, I'll show you where to find the different sets a bit further on. The level 20s have 500 life points, the level 75s have 1875. They both have a melee based attack, and the max here is the level 20s can do 40 life points of damage max, and the level 75s can do 150 max. There's no specific Slayer item required to kill them, and for recommendation I recommend having 25 magic and 20 defense to be able to kill a large amount of these in sort of a fast paced time. For those who are wondering why I've chosen magic, I'll get onto that a bit further on when we speak about their weaknesses. But that's it for the requirements. Now on to who can assign them to you as a task. So, the only Slayer Master, or Slayer Masters I should say, that assigns Minotaurs as a task is Churail, or if you completed While Gothic Sleeps, Spira, who replaces him. Churail or Spira can be found in the same location, which is southeast of the Taverley Lodestone, near the Slayer icon. So you'll see it on the little map I've got displayed here. I'm currently where the Lodestone is, and the blue marker is showing where to find them. Now, there's no requirements to have these two as a Slayer Master. However, I recommend before you start doing Slayer tasks, obviously these are the people you'll talk to at the very beginning to get yourself underway, I recommend having at least 20 combat before you begin to train Slayer, just to help sort of speed up the tasks. As you develop, your combat level is going to rise with your Slayer level, so it should do a sort of decent match with it. But it's only a recommendation, you can start from as low as you like. And the pair of them assign between 15 to 50 Minotaurs per task. But that's it for the Slayer Masters. Next, on to the location to complete the task. So, Minotaurs can only be found in one main location, which is the Stronghold of Security, which is underneath Barbarian Village. On the minimap, I'm currently at the Edgeville Lodestone, and the blue marker is showing where the dungeon's located, so it's only a short distance away from the Edgeville Lodestone. So I recommend starting from that point when finding when being assigned the task, and obviously by the footage you'll see it's only a short walk to reach there. So the Minotaurs can be found in various rooms on the very sort of first floor of the Stronghold of Security. There's 4 different levels in total, but you won't have to go down to the bottom ones. It's literally the top floor. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, there's 2 different levels of Minotaurs you can fight, either level 20 or level 75. So I'll show you where to find both of these level types. So we're just near the ladder at the moment, which you arrive at when you climb down the entrance in the Barbarian Village. Now the level 20s are directly south of the ladder, and you'll see on the mini-map I've got a blue marker arrow showing where to go. So literally if you keep heading south all the way through these doors, you'll get to a group of level 20 Minotaurs, and they're all grouped together, so they're quite quick and easy to kill. And now I will show you where the level 75s are. So obviously these are pretty much the exact same thing, apart from they're more of a stronger version, which will reward you with more Slayer and combat experience when killing them. However, I think the drop rate is pretty much the same for levels, so it's more if you want the extra XP, and they can be found pretty much directly east of where we are at the moment. So if you keep watching which doors I head through, we pass a few goblins, pass a few wolves, and eventually we'll get to this area where there's loads of level 75 Minotaurs. So obviously they are a lot higher than the 20s, but there is an actual effective way of killing them despite your combat level, which I'll get onto a bit further in this guide. But that's it for the locations to complete this task. Next is strategy using their weaknesses. So, as most monsters do in RuneScape, each monster has a different weakness. Now, the weakness for Minotaurs are they are very weak to water spells, making magic the best sort of strategy to kill them with. Now, Minotaurs are normally sort of quite an easy monster to defeat anyway, so if you rather fought them with melee or range, there's nothing stopping you, but I'm recommending using magic just to speed up the task immensely. Also, as I mentioned, especially in the level 75 area, and I believe there will be some in the level 20 area, there are a lot of safe spots you can use against the Minotaurs. So if you're using magical range, you can attack them without receiving any damage yourself, which will then make it worthwhile fighting the level 75 for that extra bit of Slayer experience and that. But I'll get onto that in a moment. The abilities that I recommend using a lot, if you obviously have them unlocked and you are choosing to use magic, are abilities such as Asphyxiate, Combust, Wild Magic and Omnipower. Asphyxiate, Combust and Wild Magic do like continuous damage over a short period of time, and Omnipower does a very high amount of damage when you get your momentum to 100%. So I recommend keep trying to use those abilities as much as you can, just to kill the Minotaurs as quickly as possible. And like I said, I recommend having 25 magic and 20 defense to be able to take these on effectively without putting yourself at too much risk. The reason I suggest 25 magic is that will then give you the ability to use the Water Bolt spell rather than Water Strike, basically the lower level one, and obviously the better water spell you can do, the more chance of hit accuracy you've got against them. And the 20 defense is just in case you do make a mistake while using the safe spots and they do a bit of damage on you, so you're not putting yourself too much at risk. But that's it for strategies. Next is the recommended equipment from highest to lowest. Okay, so for the recommended equipment, this is only sort of a guide, and what I like to do is break like the equipment I recommend in 5 different categories, from sort of the highest group of them that you could use to the lowest. Now, in these little screenshots, I am using my main level character, CloudVidz 380, to show what some of the higher level armor bonuses do. However, obviously, that one is a level 200 character, where my normal one, my CloudVidz account, is a lot lower combat level. So there will be some differences there, but obviously the Slayer level that you guys have will differ, so some of you might not have chosen to do Slayer at all until you've reached a very high combat level, so therefore you'll be able to use high equipment, whereas others of you will literally be starting Slayer at the lowest level possible, so therefore you'll only be able to use sort of the minimum equipment that I've spoken about, but we'll go on to that now. So, if you're a high magic and defense level, you've got the choice of 3 sort of high level armors to choose from. So the ones I've got displayed here are the Sea Singer robes, which can be used by player-owned ports, either the superior version or the tradable version. If not, you can also use Tectonic armor, or you could even use the Ganodermic armor. Any one of these 3 I would class as a sort of higher level armor to use, and that will provide you as much defense and constitution bonus as possible. As for like the accessories and that, a skill cape will give you a good critical hit improvement on your magic, as well as an amulet of fury, or even one of the high magic amulets like Saradomin's Whisper, I think it's called. Obviously the gloves from Recipe for Disaster, or any high level magic gloves as well, will benefit with it. A lot of people say to use a magic improving ring, but I prefer just to use a ring of wealth, because the bonus you get from a magic ring isn't that massive, and it'd be more worthwhile for you to have a ring of wealth to improve the chance of you receiving some good loot. And as for the weapon, either a Staff of Light or one of the very high level wands, anything like that will be the best to provide you with the best sort of magic attack bonus possible. And as for the spell, obviously this character is a high magic level, so I'm using the strongest water spell available, which is Water Surge. So obviously the more higher water type spell you can use, the better damage you're going to inflict upon the Minotaurs. If you don't have the funds or level, however, to use those 3 type of armors, the next sort of 3 down will be either the Robes of Subjugation, the Griffilic armor, or a Rims armor from Barrows. So these are sort of the next 3 I would recommend using if you can use the top 3. As for like all the accessories and that, they can stay the same, like Amulet of Fury and the Skill Cape. I'm sure the majority of you will probably be able to afford one of those at the level that is needed for these items. Again, the Staff of Light, you should have the level and funds to be able to use that, or again any substitute like a high level wand. Again, I still recommend using Ring of Wealth, and obviously if you don't have the level to use Water Surge, I would use the next one down. I can't remember the name of that particular one off the top of my head, but I know it's between sort of level 70 and 80 this next water spell is required to use, so but that will be just as effective as well. Again, if you can't afford or have the level for those 3 sets of items, the next tier down will be either Batwing robes, Infinity robes, or Split Bark armor, or even lunar equipment from the Dream Mentor quest. These will all provide you with quite good magic bonuses and obviously defense and constitution. You'll notice obviously the defense and constitution you have does start decreasing as the armor tiers go down, but it's more the magic attack we want to sort of focus on. So this time though, I've changed the accessories slightly. So as for cape, I don't think many people at this level will have a skill cape. Obsidian cape gives quite a good magic critical bonus, so I definitely recommend using that, and they're not too expensive to purchase. Obviously if you don't have the level for an Amulet of Fury, you could use an Amulet of Glory or an Amulet of Magic on its own. Both of these give you quite a high magic bonus, and obviously for gloves and boots, I've got these similar to the Batwing set as well. And as for weapon, you won't have the level to use weapons like Staff of Light again, so I recommend using either like the Batwing wand, or if you've got slightly higher level magic, you might be able to use a more stronger wand, but obviously the best magic weapon you can use I recommend having. Again, due to you having a lower magic level, the highest water spell you'll probably be able to use around this level will be Water Blast, which is a sort of level 50 magic type spell. I believe this is only a rough guess, so don't hold me to this, but obviously you want to again use the highest water spell possible for you to do the most damage against the Minotaurs. So now we're getting to like the really sort of lowest equipment available to you if you've got a really low magic level. So here I've got a full set of Mystic robes. I believe level 14 magic is the requirement, and obviously you need a suitable defense level as well to use Mystic. It will provide you still with quite a good defense and attack bonus, but obviously nowhere near as effective as some of the higher ones. Again, you should be able to still have an Amulet of Glory or Obsidian Cape, because there's no level requirements for these, just more the money side of it. And when you get to this sort of one, I would recommend use a Mystic Water Staff. Obviously if you have the level to use Mystic Armor, you should have the level to use the weapons as well, and obviously with the Mystic Water Staff you won't need any water runes in order to use this spell, just air runes, and again you'd want to use the highest water spell available to you possible, which in this case I believe will be the Bolt spell, as you may not have the level to use the next stage up. And then finally we're at the very lowest sort of tier of magic armor and weapons you can use. Now obviously the character I've been using for this task is a very low level one, so he hasn't got a high defense or magic level, so obviously the best equipment available for me here was to either use the Spider Silk armor, I believe it's called, or Imp Hide robes. So these are probably the most best magic armor available to you at a low level. Again, an Amulet of Glory and Obsidian Cape you'll be able to have as well as these, because again there's no level requirement from just the money, and you won't obviously have the level to use a Mystic Water Staff, so you either want to use a Staff of Water or a Water Battle Staff, anything along those lines, just to take away the need of the water runes, as obviously at a low level you want to use as less runes as possible to afford your costs and that until you start developing your Slayer level and receiving more loot from the monsters and that. And again I think the only spell you're going to be able to use is the either Water Strike or Water Bolt spell, but like I said in the previous sections, I recommend having 25 magic at a minimum, as that will allow you to use Water Bolt, which is that much stronger than Water Strike. It should make a suitable difference. So but those are basically the 5 different tiers of armor that I recommend. So obviously if you're a really high magic and combat level, you'll be able to use the more strong ones like Sea Singer or Tectonic. A medium level character will be able to use something like Rims or Batwing, and then obviously if you're very low level and just starting off with Slayer, either Mystic or Spider Silk. Now again, these are only recommendations, you don't have to stick to what I suggested. This is written merely a guide which will tell you what is going to provide you the best sort of defense, health and magic defense and attack bonus possible in order for you to speed up the task immensely. Now, I would normally talk about what to have in the inventory as well, but however, because in this guide I'm going to show you in a moment where the safe spots are to fight the Minotaurs, you're not really going to need much food at all. In my case, I didn't really bring any with me because I was effectively able to use the safe spots without taking damage. Obviously, the only thing you want to make sure you do is the suitable amount of runes to be able to complete the task, so make sure you've got enough of those with you so you don't have to go to and from the bank too much. But that's it for the recommended equipment. Now is tips and tricks. So, compared to other like higher level monsters now, I don't have as many tips and tricks as I normally would, but the main one here is what I've been mentioning a few times throughout this guide, is the safe spots. So I'm choosing to fight the level 75 Minotaurs, which are well above the combat level of my character. However, if you notice, I'm using one of these skeletons as a safe spot, and literally if you stand behind it and make sure you attack a Minotaur that's further away from you, by the time it starts coming towards you, it will get stuck behind the skeleton, allowing you to continuously attack it with magic without worrying about taking any damage from the Minotaur. Now, obviously, sometimes they can be a bit crafty and weave themselves around the skeleton. If that happens and you do start taking damage, there's a door literally about 3 steps away from you, and if you go through the door, it will stop them attacking you and allow you to like restore your health back up to normal, or like at least eat some foods if you've brought any with you, that is, before going back in there and fighting them again. And also, if you stay behind the door for about 10 seconds, the Minotaur will stop becoming aggressive towards you and kind of wander off again. But as you can see here, obviously using this safe spot, I can keep dealing magic against them repeatedly. Now, because I'm a low magic level, obviously a lot of my attacks weren't hitting, but it still was worthwhile me fighting the higher level ones just to get that extra XP for both my combat and slayer in order to increase my levels quicker. Now, as I mentioned earlier on in this guide, the main sort of abilities you want to use when doing magic are the ones that do continuous damage. Now, with the magic level I have at the moment, the only sort of repeatable damage attacks I have are Asphyxiate and Omni Power. So what I tend to do, I keep using the lower level abilities, which I have set to the hotkeys 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, to keep building my momentum up. And you'll also notice I've put 2 defensive abilities in number 8 and 9. Now, these take a little while to regenerate, but if you use them while in combat, it does shoot your momentum up a little bit as well, and I like to use that just to increase the time, or decrease the time even it takes to get to 100%, because obviously Asphyxiate requires a minimum of 50% adrenaline momentum to use it, and Omni Power obviously requires 100%, so the quicker you can keep filling that back up to use those abilities, the more Minotaurs you're going to kill. So you'll notice I keep repeatedly sort of using the low level abilities as well as the defensive abilities, and as soon as I have access to Asphyxiate or Omni Power, I use it just to be able to effectively kill the Minotaurs. Now, obviously, again, with my magic level not being extremely high, they don't always hit, but you'll notice when they do hit the Minotaurs, they hit quite hard, and that does take care of them pretty quickly. Also, it's worth having the regenerate ability, I believe it's called that anyway, the little heart symbol I have attached to the dash hotkey. Basically, having this, say you've got like a very full momentum and you just finished killing one of the Minotaurs, you can use that ability to regenerate your health if you've taken any damage, so it's worth doing, especially as if you do need to go behind the door, like I previously mentioned, you can use that ability to restore your health. The only other tip and trick I recommend, and this more applies for sort of lower level players, you'll notice obviously Minotaurs always frequently drop bones. I like to pick these up, and you'll notice that in the hotkey number 0, I've used the bones as a option there to use. And basically what I like to do, I keep collecting the bones, and until you've got like a full bag of them, or at least like 10, 15, and if you keep repeatedly pressing the hotkey that you've assigned them to, you'll bury them really quickly. It's just more worthwhile that way, because obviously burying bones does take a little while, but using that hotkey speeds it up, and that way you're getting a fair chunk of prayer experience as well as your combat and slayer experience throughout this task. But yeah, that's pretty much all the tips and tricks I've got for this section, and now on to the final bit, which is the key drops to collect. So, you will earn either 9 Slayer experience for killing the level 20 Minotaurs, or 22 Slayer experience for the level 75s for obviously each one you kill, and obviously a task of 50, which is the max you could get assigned, will either give you 450 or 1100 Slayer experience. You'll notice there's quite a substantial increase between the 20 and 75 Minotaur with regarding experience. Now, yes, it's going to take you a little while longer to kill the 75s, but if you use the methods that I've been mentioning and the safe spot, trademarks, it's really not going to make that much difference to you, and you're going to go up a fair few more levels than you would fight in the lower level ones. So I definitely recommend going for them. But regarding obviously the drops and that, with Minotaurs being a sort of low level creature, they haven't got the best drops, and obviously there's no difference in drops between the 20s and 75s. It's literally just the experience difference, so it's completely up to you. But things you want to look out for, with weapons and armor, you want to collect iron arrows, because obviously these are stackable and they'll come handy for training range stuff if you're low level. Staff of air or bronze spears, so these are worth a decent amount on the ground exchange if you collect them. For gems and ores, you want to collect tin and copper ore, rune and pure essence. These are all noted, so you can keep stacking these up as well. As for others, you want to collect the bones, like I mentioned in the previous section. You can keep burying them to increase your prayer. Any coins, any runes, again they're stackable. A skull half, you want to look out for these, because I know there's a scepter you can make from the gnome stronghold, sorry, the barbarian stronghold of security, and the skull half is one of the pieces of these. They also drop easy clue scrolls, so definitely collect them. Clue scrolls are always worth doing. And also the Minotaurs do have access to the rare drop table, so for those of you who don't know what that is, it's literally a complete sort of random set of items that you can randomly get when fighting monsters that have access to it. Most of the rare drop table is actually really good money, and with a ring of wealth equipped, the chance of getting something from it is increased, or even the quantity of that item, and the highest reward is actually around 25 mil, so there's nothing stopping the Minotaurs actually dropping that. It all obviously depends on your luck and that, so even fighting a low level monster like Minotaurs, if you have that ring of wealth, you've got that really sort of small chance of getting a really big amount of loot, so it's definitely worth having. And as I mentioned, almost all of the above mentioned loot is stackable, so hence why I recommend collecting it, just to increase your resources and money. There's no point not collecting things if it's going to help increase it slightly. So, but like I mentioned, there's no difference in drops between the low level Minotaur and the high level Minotaur. It's mainly the Slayer experience, but if you are going to use magic like I've spoken about in this guide, I'd definitely go for the higher level ones, just to increase the amount of experience you're going to get through this task. But yeah, we're at the end of my guide now. Thanks for watching, everyone. I think I've covered nearly everything in this guide. Obviously, if there's anything you're unsure of, or you want any advice on anything, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll help you out as best I can. Obviously, with my main character, I've achieved level 99 Slayer. It was the first level 99 skill I got, so I know how much of a challenge Slayer can be to get leveled up, and that's obviously why I want to make these guides, to help you out as much as possible. Obviously, I have worked quite hard on this, so please don't forget to like, comment, favourite, subscribe, and share with your friends who also are wanting to train their Slayer up. And I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you all, and happy slaying.